Hey, it's Kathy with another video on grades and the Canvas gradebook, this time focusing in on what I call weighted groups, or giving groups of assignments, some of those groups, more importance in the student's final grade than those other groups. So what we're going to be talking about here is how to organize your assignments in Canvas so that we can apply this weighting, rules where we can tell Canvas to drop the lowest 3 scores in a group, but maybe never drop this one particular assignment. How to figure out extra credit so the math will be correct if you're using weighted groups. And what does the gradebook look like as we're going through all of this? So I made a fake Canvas course to work with this, and I made it about Legos because that sounded like something entertaining. And we're going to start with the syllabus for that course because the most important thing here is the syllabus. The syllabus will guide us into how we should be setting up our gradebook in Canvas. So this is the fake syllabus I made for my fake course. And you can see there are 9 homework assignments in this course. The lowest 2 scores for those will be dropped. Now I'm going to tell you there is one important assignment that we will not be dropping the grade for it. So I want to remember that. There are 2 tests in this course. There is a midterm and a final exam. This is how the grades will be calculated in the course. So all those 9 homework assignments worth 30 points each, minus 2 of them, will be worth half of the student's final grade in the class. Their midterm is worth 25% of their final course grade, and the final exam is worth another 25%. And I'm going to set it up so Canvas does the math for me. I also mentioned I have extra credit. There are going to be 2 extra credit assignments in this class, each one worth 1% of the student's grade. And I want to make sure I set this up so that if a student does not do the extra credit, they are not penalized. So it is extra. So let's take a look at our Canvas course. And I've called it grades weighted groups just so I could remember how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the course. And I want to go look at my assignments that I have. Right now I have nothing. You'll notice though there is a group called assignments. By default we get that automatically. Now when I look at my notes that I have about the graded things from my syllabus, I don't have anything called assignments. I have homework, I have some tests, and I have extra credit. I don't even have anything specifically called assignment, so I will want to change that. So I'm going to go to the far right, to the gear for the group named assignments, and edit, and change that to homework, because that's the name used in my syllabus. So now I have a group for that. I also needed a group for tests, so I can add a second group. And I'm just going to call it tests. That's the word I use. And I'm going to need another group for extra credit. And we'll come back to extra credit in a bit. Now I have 3 groups. To add things to each one of these groups, and there are many ways to do this, this is just one, I'm going to go to the homework group where I know I have 9 homework assignments. At the far right of the name of the group, I click the plus sign and it's homework number 1. Notice this is an assignment. It's not a discussion. It's not a quiz. It's just an assignment. I'm going to go ahead and put in some points. And of course, I could go crazy and put in the due dates and instructions and everything. Not going to do that here. I'm going to go ahead and put in homework number 2. And I'm not going to bore you by doing all of these. I am going to jump to homework number 9 because that's going to be a special one. That's the one I do not want Canvas to drop for me. Let me just do another one here. I don't think I put points on that previous one either. Let me go ahead and fix number 9 real quick. If assignments get out of order in your gradebook, you can move them around. So I want homework 3 to be in order. So I've added some homework. Let's see what our gradebook looks like. Click on grades. I got nothing. You can see I have no students yet. I have no secondary ID numbers for my students. I do have a category, a group called homework and one called tests and extra credit, but nothing's showing. What's going on? Let's go back to our course, back to assignments, and you'll notice my assignment names are all gray, and at the far right they all have gray clouds. This means they are in draft state, meaning I'm not done working on them. Students can't see them and they're not in the gradebook. So if you want to see them in the gradebook, make sure you publish each one just by clicking on the gray cloud next to it. If I go back to grades now, you'll see I have homework 1, homework 2, homework 3, homework 9. Here's the category called homework, the category called tests and extra credit. So now they're starting to show up. Let's return to our assignments. And let me put in my 2 quizzes or tests very quickly. The midterm, I believe, was 50 points. And I'm just going to save and publish that one. And put in my final, which is worth 100 points. And this is what I like to do. I like to set it all up as soon as I can, as soon as I know everything and get everything organized. Now, what's missing here is the weighting of the categories. I want Canvas to do the math for me and take all the homework assignments, all 9 of them when they're there, and make sure that's worth half the student grade. I want to make sure that for tests, those are worth 25% each or 50% total. But they're different point values. So to make sure the math is correct, I really should separate these into 2 groups because it's a 100-point thing and a 50-point thing, and I want to make sure even though they're both worth 25%, the point value will really skew that. So let me go ahead and make another group. I'll just call it final. I'm going to move that group. I'm going to move the final exam into that group. So I'm going to try. And then think, instead of calling it tests, I'm just going to rename, sorry, wrong button, tests, edit. Let me rename that and call it midterm. So because of the math involved, I wanted to make sure this was set up correctly. So this is going to make a lot more sense. So how do I set up weighted groups? Well, once I have all the groups in, then I like to return and do it. I do that by going to the very top right, the gear for all of the assignments. And there's a checkbox, weight final grade based on assignment groups. Put a checkbox in, it shows all my groups. So I can say homework was worth 50%, the midterm is worth 25%, the final is 25%. The extra credit I haven't done yet. That will be worth up to 2% extra. I'm going to go ahead and save this without doing that yet. I want you to notice now the homework group to the far right says 50% of total. Midterm says 25%. I've got my math working. Also, if I check these numbers, they add up to 100%, which is just perfect right now. So the extra credit, let's talk about that. I said I'd have 2 extra credit assignments. To make the math work, are they both going to be worth the same point value? Are they both 13-point assignments? If they're both identical points and both worth 1%, I could put them in one extra credit group. If they are 2 quite different assignments with different point values, both worth 1%, I'd want 2 extra groups. So I'm going to go ahead and add an extra group, and I'll just call it extra credit 2. So in these, I'm going to add some assignment. So I'm going to find, oh, I just jumped my extra credit up. I did not mean to do that, sorry. I'm going to go to extra credit. I'm going to click on the plus sign, extra credit, number 1. I'm going to give it some point value. It doesn't matter because it's going to be worth 1% of the grade. I'm going to say it's 25 points. I'm going to go to extra credit 2 and add an assignment there. And I'm going to say that one's worth 75 points. And I'll save and publish that one. So these 2 extra credits are both mathematically going to be worth 1%. I want to make sure if students do not do it, they will not be punished. So back to the top, back to the gear. Here's all these wonderful groups. Right now, what I have is worth 100%. Students don't do any extra credit. They can still get 100% of the points in the class. But I'm going to give my group called extra credit 1% more. Extra credit 2 group is 1% more. And now there is a possibility of a student getting 102% in this class. That makes sure the math works correctly. The last thing in this, I said that in the homework groups, we would drop the lowest 2 scores, but never drop the last assignment called homework 9. I'm going to set that up now. I'm going to find the homework group, go to the far right, the gear for that group, edit. It's named homework, it's 50%. As I go down, number of scores to ignore or drop for each student. How many lowest scores? Well, 2 lowest scores. Keep going down, never drop. Let's find the assignment we want, number 9. Save. Now if you look at the name of the group and at the far right, you can see there are 2 rules being applied to this group, and Canvas will do it for us, which is great. Certainly, I would need to go in here and finish adding the rest of my homework assignments so this looked right. I would need to put in instructions and due dates and all of that also. But let's see what our gradebook looks like. And here we are. We have homework 1, 2, 3, 9, the same order they were in assignments. Midterm, final, extra credit 1, extra credit 2. You can see the point values for each one of these. As we scroll to the right, we get our group summation columns. So homework is 50% of their grade. It tells me all of this right here in the gradebook. It is pretty amazing if I do say so. So let me see what I've got. I think that's about it for this video. I hope this helps straighten up how to set up your assignments so that your gradebook works correctly with weighted groups.